Today, on the Basketball Manitoba podcast, we have Randy Kusano. Randy's been coaching for over 45 years and is considered one of the most successful high school coaches in Manitoba. He is a graduate of Glenlawn Collegiate, where he went on to play at the University of Manitoba. He was part of the 1976 team that won a national championship. After graduating, he went on to coach at Oak Park High School for 34 years, where his teams made it to 15 Final Fours, won 3 provincial championships, and amassed over 800 wins. He was an assistant coach with the men's program at University of Manitoba, as well as an assistant coach and co-coach with the women's programs. He's coached both the boys and girls Manitoba Provincial teams, winning 2 bronze medals at the Canada Games and the Canada Basketball Nationals. After retiring from Oak Park, he joined the Basketball Manitoba staff as their high-performance coach and development coach, a role he currently holds. He's a winner of the Mike Spack Award. He's been Manitoba High School Athletic Association Coach of the Year. He's a Manitoba High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame member, class of 2016. He's a Sport Manitoba Hall of Fame member, class of 2011. And he's a 2-time Basketball Manitoba Hall of Fame member, class of 2011. And most recently in 2021. Randy, welcome to the podcast. Wow, that was a crazy intro. That was a lot. You've been around, sir. This is
it's been a long time, Darcy. Yep.
It really has. So you went into the Hall of Fame. Well, one of the Hall of Fames recently. Some of the earlier ones were for team awards, and this one with Basketball Manitoba was as a builder, I believe. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. And they did a video for you, and I watched it. And Dan Becker, who everyone knows here in the community, is on there, and he's like, I always thought Randy was in the Hall of Fame. So when they told me he was going in, I was surprised because I thought he was there already. And I think that's one of those things where it's interesting because like you've been around for so long, and I'd mentioned like you've been in some of these other Hall of Fames a long time ago. So it just shows how much work you've put in and how long you've been around for. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, it's been it's getting close to 50 years now. So that's a long time. That's a long time.
It really is. So full confession here. I actually interviewed Bill Wedlake earlier today. And I think your episodes will air close together, but your episode, and no pressure for this, Bill's and yours interviews were the ones I've been looking forward to since we announced this podcast. Just because, again, 2 legends. I always enjoy talking with both of you. Tons of stories. So we're just gonna jump right into this, and we're gonna start picking through your life here, and hopefully I'm gonna learn some new stuff. And the listeners are gonna learn some stuff they've never heard about you. So I like to start the podcast with a memory of the person. So my first memory of you was when I was a player at Glenlawn. And the only thing I really remember is that we hated Oak Park. And it was mainly because you guys were like so good, right? Every year you guys had good teams, right? So there was this reputation, and you guys were kind of like the Duke of Winnipeg, right? Really good. People hated you. Like if you weren't part of the Oak Park thing, you're like, screw them, we hate them. But everyone wanted to beat you, and that's a sign of a good team, right? People don't like you and they want to beat you. So I know it's a weird place to start the interview, but I say all that just to say that's my first memory of you, as far as like, okay, I know who this Coach Kusano guy is. But what is your first memory of basketball? Where did you get started? Who introduced you to the game? Who were you playing with? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, I got my start in Samtel. I went to a school called Norbury Junior High School, which is no longer in existence anymore. It's actually the Louis Riel School Division offices. But when I was there, I had 2 guys that were really special. That was Dennis Elvstead. He was the one that introduced me to basketball. Unbelievable guy. And my phys ed teacher, who was Ron Koski, another huge influence on my life. So the 2 of them were amazing. They're the ones that got me involved in the sport. And then I moved on to Glenlawn Collegiate, and I had another person named Dennis Wilson, and another unbelievable, wonderful person. And the 3 of them basically changed my life. I hold those 3 in such high esteem. They followed me right through my playing days to the day I retired. They were all at my retirement from teaching. So that just shows you what a huge impact they were in my life. Yeah, pretty amazing guys.
That is.
Yeah. Yeah, two of them are in the Hall of Fame. I mentioned that at my induction a little while ago. Dennis Elvestead and Dennis Wilson are both in as builders, and Ron Cosby was my inspiration to become a teacher. So, yeah,
Wow. Wow.
great
And that's
start.
amazing that you still have a connection with them after all these
Oh,
years.
yeah, they're on a pedestal. Always will be.
That's amazing. So would you say that they're your two of your biggest, I guess, mentors early on? I mean, they're friends now, but at one point they must have just been people that you looked up to. And
Oh, absolutely. All three of them. I call them my life changers. Without them, I don't know what would have happened. But yeah, they kept me on the straight and narrow, and they're just good people.
Mhm.
Unbelievable people. Yeah.
But and then so like are there any like early lessons? I mean, I always like to kind of pick and say, okay, like what did those people teach you? I mean, you were obviously very young at the time and they probably taught you a lot of lessons throughout the years, but what were some of those things that stood out to you early on that they kind of instilled in you?
That's a great question. It wasn't just the basketball. They're really good basketball coaches, but it was just
Mhm.
teaching you the proper values, sportsmanship, just conducting it, just be a good person. And
Mhm.
all three of them were like that. They kept me really in line, and I had so much respect for them that I did virtually anything they wanted me to do. And yeah, I just tried to carry that forward.
Well, I think you've done that. I mean, I listened to your speech, and you've mentioned it a few times here. They were just really good people, and I think that's something that people would say about you now. Like
Oh,
Coach
that's nice to hear.
Kusano, Randy is a really good person, right? I think those are the types of sentiments that people kind of echo about you. I certainly do as well, and so that's clearly something that's stood out over the years. And it seems like you've clearly tried to, maybe not intentionally or unintentionally, but that sentiment has come true. So I mean that's a big shout out to them. Now, obviously you mentioned not just basketball, but you went on to play at Glenlawn. You moved on from there. Obviously, you went on to play at University of Manitoba. Now, I was looking into it. So back, I mean, things have changed so much, and most people nowadays don't really understand kind of how things were back then. But can you explain to me, like you played on the junior team,
Yeah.
but I guess who did you play against? Like, what was that league like? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I talked about it at my induction there, and what happened was after I graduated from high school, I wasn't good enough to play university, just not even close. But what some people had done, they had formed the Winnipeg Junior Men's Basketball League, and that was for people or players up to the age of 21. So after high school, you could play for about 3 years after high school in this junior league, and it was tremendous. University of Manitoba had a team, University of Winnipeg, I think Red River College had a team, and then there was about 4 or 5 regional teams like Fort Garry, St. Vital, Winnipeg North,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, River East. It was amazing. So it was a really great league. YMHA had a team, and we competed. It was really competitive, lots of fun. And if you won the league, you got to go challenge Saskatchewan for the regional championship, and then if you won that, you went on to nationals. So it
Oh
was a
wow.
great league. Yeah, great
Oh wow.
opportunity.
I mean, that's super interesting. I mean, so it was almost like essentially, I guess, what exists now as a junior college league, more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If not for that league, Dars, I don't think a lot of us would have continued on basketball. I really believe that it provided an opportunity for hundreds of us to keep playing, which was really
Hmm.
great. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So then, like, walk us through. I mean, like I mentioned in your intro, you're part of the 1976 team, so you weren't good enough to play. Did you play 3 years and 1 year on that team? Like, how did that transition take place?
Yeah, well, that's kind of strange. I played 3 years with the junior Bisons,
Yeah.
and we had a real good run. We won 3 Canadian championships in a row, and then I took about a year or two off because I was out of eligibility, and I coached. Jaime Foss got me coaching right after I graduated, so I was 21, going on 22, and he got me started in coaching, and I was an
Where were
assistant.
you coaching?
Well, he actually asked me to help him coach the junior bison team that I had played for.
Oh, okay, okay, perfect.
So I assisted. I was his assistant for 1 year, and then I head coached for 2 years after that. So that's where I got my start in coaching.
Uh,
And then in my last year of coaching at the university, in the junior program there, I also decided to try for the big team. I thought, I'm going to give one more shot, and I don't know why, but I just said I'm going to try this. I didn't think I was going to make it, but lo and behold, I did make the team.
That's interesting. So okay, so hold on. So you played the junior, you coached the same team that you were playing for after.
Yeah.
Were you playing any senior men's on other teams during that time,
No.
or you didn't play at all, and then you went and tried out for a team that won the national championship? They're like, yeah, sure, we'll take you.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. I don't know. Yeah, there was no real senior men's team to play on back then.
Mm.
No, you had to wait till you're older before you
Oh,
got on the.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, making the jump from high school to university was really tough, and if you didn't make it, there was really nothing to do after that. There was no senior men's at that time that was worth playing for.
So then, okay, but like in during your days, did you have the senior men's league, like those elite teams, or were they kind of not around by then?
That came after. Um,
Oh,
yeah, because there was St. Andrews, which became the St. Andrews Super Saints, and they
yep,
had a whole bunch of former Bisons on that. You know, Bobtown, Moss Wood
yep,
Lake,
yep.
Headstones. Yeah, just a dynamite team. And then rather than so after Rick Watts and Del Rumsey and all those guys graduated, they decided to get their own team going. Rick Watts was big in that. He wanted to keep us all together, so we formed. He formed Nicollet Inn.
Oh,
Got that going. Yeah.
okay. So that came after. That was like a little while after. For some reason, I always thought that like a lot of those teams existed earlier on. That's interesting.
No, no, they started just after in the late '70s there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So this is a little history lesson. I thought I understood, but I clearly did not. Like I knew these teams existed and I knew the talent that was on the teams. I didn't really understand maybe the timelines and how they got started. That's interesting. So then you played on the Nicolette team?
Yeah, I played for 2, 3 years, I think, on that team,
Okay.
and then it was just too busy with coaching. Had a family already, so
Yeah.
packed it in after a while. Yeah.
Were you already at Oak Park at that time? Like is that once you were at Oak Park and
Yeah,
then you were
yeah.
yeah.
I had already started at Oak Park, so yeah.
Okay. I got it. Okay. 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 I understand. That's super interesting. So okay, so let me ask you another senior men's question though. But what was the so you played those 2 years, and I mean, again, you understand even when you weren't playing, but can you explain maybe to people out there that wouldn't really understand what the senior men's leagues were really about? Like, what was the talent level? Like, these are like these are like I mean, at this time, from what I understand, when you think about the talent, they're almost like semi-pro level teams. Like some all Canadians are playing. Like this is pretty high level basketball, is it not?
Yeah, that was with Nicollet and St. Andrews. It was really high level basketball. I got to watch a lot, didn't play much, and so we played against a lot of university teams because they wanted that competition. Yeah, I went up to Brandon a lot. Went out to Saskatoon and Regina a few times for tournaments and stuff like that, just because just to give them the competition. They knew that
Mhm.
our teams were really strong, so we got invited out to those tournaments. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like that that exists today. Unfortunately, I would say that there's some people out there that would definitely play it. I mean, again, basketball's probably come a long way. We have the CBL now,
Oh,
so it's great. I mean, we have
yeah.
professional leagues and stuff, but senior men still exists, just not like that, not at that level. So I'm
No,
always curious.
yeah, there weren't that many guys around to make a senior team. So they just took, just sort of the graduates from the two universities, and that's how it came about.
It's interesting. So okay, so anyways, you finished playing, you finished coaching. How did you get to Oak Park? Did you just apply? Did someone say,
You know
"Hey,
what?
come here,
Yeah.
we need you"?
No, you know what happened? I had graduated in 1976 after that championship year, and I was desperate for a job. I already had a young daughter, and I was going to take a job anywhere I get a job. If it was going up north, Thompson or Flin Flon or south to Emerald, I didn't care. I needed a job, and so I got a couple of interviews, and the first offer that actually came up was a new school out in Charleswood. I'd never heard of before. It was called Oak Park High School, and went for the. I had lost out on one interview at Charleswood High School,
Mhm.
and they said, and a week later, I was asked to go back for another interview for this new school called Oak Park. So I went for that interview and ended up getting the job and started in the fall of 1976.
So that was it. Was that its first year, 1976?
Yeah, I think it opened up in the second semester of 1976. Yeah,
Wow,
that spring, and then I started in the fall.
wow. Okay. So it's brand new school at the time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that. So then you went on, obviously we read in the bio there, you had there for a long time, won 3 provincial championships. You've coached a lot, like to say, suffice to
Oh
say,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
at Oak Park specifically, can you talk about some of your more memorable coaching moments? And they don't
Well,
necessarily have, again, I know whenever I ask this question for people like you, it's like, well, look, there's so many. And I understand that. But I mean, if you could pick maybe a top three moments, they don't necessarily have to be wins. They could be just moments. I don't know. Like what stands out to you in your time at Oak Park, I guess is the big question.
well, I want to go back to when you first started talking about Oak Park.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to that school, my dream was to start and develop a real strong basketball program. I wanted to be a basketball powerhouse. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a team that nobody liked. Well, I wanted to be like Westwood and Sisler and
Yeah.
Dakota. I
Yeah.
wanted to be like all those schools that were powerhouses, and I wanted to be a team that nobody liked. And what you just said was music to my ears, Darcy,
That's
because
awesome.
yeah, because we wanted to be that team that nobody wanted to play against, that everybody wanted to beat, and so it started out that way. That's what motivated me so much to start that program
Mm.
and be successful.
I love
Uh,
that. I love it.
yeah,
I love it. So then, as far as memorable moments, so you you became the hated school that you always wanted to be, the nice guy with the hated team. I love it. Um, like so, what like again, you've won 3 championships. Sometimes those aren't necessarily the most like memorable moments. They could be, but
no,
what are some of the things that stand out?
you know what? Just the journey there, starting out early, you think it's never going to happen. One of the most interesting things was playing against Bill Wedlake's team. He was good enough to
Mm,
invite us to play against him at the University of Winnipeg, and we played them there, and we did fairly well. And I thought, wow, that was amazing that we, pretty new school, could compete with one of the traditional powerhouses. We lost, but we were competitive, and I thought, wow, we're on the right track here. So that was significant. And then in 1984, we somehow went on a magical run, and we made it all the way to the provincial final.
mhm.
And we didn't win. Again, we lost to Westwood that year, Dave Gus from Westwood. But just to get there, I think our record was 500,
Okay.
and we knocked off some amazing teams with with amazing players to get there. So that was a real highlight, and really got us going.
Mhm.
And so in a fairly short period of time, about 7 8 years, we made it to the provincial final. So that was pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, other playing against I have to mention the Todd McCullough years.
Yeah, of course.
If not for him, we might have won a few more provincial titles. But when you coach against the greatest player in the history of the province in terms of talent and success, I mean that was quite something. We had some great battles, and we take a lot of pride in the fact that we were one of the only teams to beat them during the 2 years that he was there.
Mhm, mhm.
So that was another real highlight. And the wins are nice, but it's just all the amazing players that I was lucky enough to coach throughout those years. That really stands out. There's so many. There's too many to
Of
mention,
course.
but
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
those
I
are
understand that for sure. Well, it's funny. I watched. I think it was you guys playing Westwood. I want to say in the Wit. Like these are old games on Basketball Manitoba. I believe it was the
yeah,
Wit. It was
yeah.
in Tech Bach. Yeah, and I'm just watching that, and obviously I know some of the guys that are, they probably don't play much anymore, but they played back when I was playing a little bit, and that's again, it's like you had said, you probably would have had a few more titles. I mean, he was his impact was pretty big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you guys had some super special teams. You had mentioned the players, right? Obviously, you had said there's too many to mention, but I'm actually going to ask you to mention. But what I'm going to ask you to reflect on is not necessarily the most talented players, because you've coached a plethora of talented players. And this still might be a hard question to answer, and you can give me a list, but there might be someone that stands out for you. And I've asked this question of other coaches, and typically they either have a list of players or they have one player that they just know stands out because of some special reason. So, the question is essentially is who's your most memorable player? Like I said, might not be the most talented, but it's someone for some reason that just stands out. Whether it was the relationship you had with them, the way that they came back into your life, I don't know. But I asked that question just to kind of get some perspective, because again, you've coached so many people.
That's a real tough one.
It is. It is.
And there's, I don't want to.
You can mention more than one.
Okay, well then there's sort of eras, and I
Yeah.
had one super team, which and we didn't win, and that was the 1988 team
Mhm.
with I think 5 players from that team played university basketball, which is pretty amazing.
Yep.
So that team had Scott Anderson, Greg Philman, Rhett Turner,
Yep.
Kyle
Yep.
Gus. Yeah, it was and Sean Leopard. All 5 of those guys played university, and
Yep.
that was a
Yep.
pretty special group. And then we won the following year. Rhett Turner put us on his back, and away we went. He was an amazing player.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys before that, like Scott Anderson, Greg Philman, they were all outstanding. And then that was one era, and then shortly after that, we had another group with Chris Lucas and Rob Tim and Lennon Mangron, another super special group. They played against the Todd McCullough era.
Yeah.
And another special group, and then there was a few more after that too. I'm just trying to remember. There was Ben Kingdon, Paul Rowe. That group, they won. That was and that was a special group because it's probably one of the nicest groups of kids I ever coached.
Mm.
Yeah, their chemistry and their leadership from those guys was phenomenal. And again, right near the end, in my last years there was Graham Fardeau and David Kohler and that group of kids too, Elliot Taylor and stuff. So but there's a million names, like
I know.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by missing them out.
I know. It's always a hard question. Again, like I said, I think as a coach, you either say, "Hey, that's a hard question to answer," or you have one person and it's typically for a non-basketball reason, right? Whatever that may be. So it's usually one or the other. You gave me is a hard question to answer, and I think that's the norm. That's what most people say. Like, this is really hard, and I don't want to exclude any names. So I respect that. But you've coached so many people, so that it can be expected.
Yeah, that's what makes it so hard.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to ask you a little bit about, again, getting in that same thing. Like, you've been around the game for so long and you're still coaching. So like some of the other people that I've interviewed, they're around for a long time. They're not coaching anymore. And so I think you have like a really unique perspective, the fact that you're still coaching and you're still coaching high school level kids. And I think that's super important. So, I mean, you obviously know, like, this whole club thing is fairly new, right? Club basketball was never around. Kids didn't really start super young. Like, they were back in the day. It's like, oh, my first time playing was in grade 9. I've heard, I interviewed Ross. He's like, I didn't start playing till the 10th grade. And it's like, so it's way different now. But I'm curious, what is the biggest difference, besides maybe the club ball that you've seen throughout the years? And I guess, like, do you think that it's good or bad, or just some of your general comments on it? Because the game has changed, both tactically, both rules, and then both like the opportunity to play. Like, all of it's changed in the time you've been around. About the the difference between the game and how much it's changed from the time you started up until now.
Oh yeah, well, when I first started, it was a big man's game. Pound the ball inside, hold the ball for 2-minute possessions, and I thought that was the greatest way to play. But as the time went on, shot clock came in, eventually 3-point line, and the game has changed tremendously in terms of rules and strategy. And then the athleticism has changed tremendously. And I guess one of the biggest changes that I've seen since I started coaching and is just the demographic change of, when I started playing high school, I was one of the only visible minorities playing in all of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I remember a guy named Phil Tynes, who became a good friend of mine, who played at Daniel Mack, and maybe another, I can't even remember, honestly, any other people of color that were playing back then. But so that's been a huge change to now. Like, it's unbelievable. And especially the last 15, 20 years, the change in demographics in Winnipeg has been phenomenal. The Filipino influence and just the African influence. It's unbelievable. It's just, and it's really been a good change, a really good change. So yeah, tremendous. But the biggest thing that I see is the athleticism of these kids. It's unbelievable right now. The change, back in the day, you had to be about 6'7", 6'8" before you could dunk the ball. And these kids now, they're grade 8, grade 9, going up and pounding the ball, and just the way they run the floor. how smooth they are. That's changed. And then, like you said, the club system now. Everything used to be run through the high schools. If that was the development program, but that's no longer the case.
Hmm.
Basically, high schools now are only as good as the number of club players they have coming to their school.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's been and that's for girls and guys. That's been a
Hmm.
huge change. Most of the basketball is taught outside of the schools now, and very few schools are actually have a strong program going. And that's not a knock on anybody; it's just a fact of life. The number of strong schools has gone down significantly in the past number of years.
Yeah, no, for sure. That change is very evident. I mean, I do find it interesting though that what you end up seeing is some of the same people that were either coaching at high schools are coaching some of these club programs or these prep programs, for example. So it's not necessarily that the players wouldn't aren't getting the same coaching that they would have. Now there might be some disconnect there with regards to the relationships that you were able to form with the kids because you're there as a full-time mentor, right? They're in the school
Yeah,
with you all day. So maybe some of that is changed a little bit. But as far as the on-court coaching, a lot of the same people are still doing some of that elite coaching, and so I think that's a good sign. I know again some people who are at high schools or coaching club programs or started their own programs, but could you maybe talk about, and again, I know this isn't you are a nice guy, but what are some of the challenges? Like again, I know there's like, hey, there's been all this positive change. What are some of the things that you've seen that have been more challenges, where the changes have caused some challenges for coaches or logistical challenges or barriers to people playing, things like that?
yeah. The biggest challenges are just trying to get people on the same page.
Mm,
Yeah, when you get a lot of good coaches in different areas, they want to do their own thing, and to get all together and do what's best for basketball and for the kids is a big challenge to us. We fight that every day. We
mm,
talk about it almost every day.
mm,
With people, yeah, other coaches in the community, with my colleagues at Basketball Manitoba, the university coaches. It's an ongoing process, and I hope we can make it better.
mm,
Because right now it's everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and it's not. We got to get together and do what's best for basketball, and that's gonna be
mm,
hard. It's gonna be hard.
mm, mm.
Yeah, and
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, because I think everybody. I honestly believe everyone thinks they're doing the right thing, but it can be pretty disjointed sometimes. So hopefully it gets better.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's interesting because like as long as I've been around, it's kind of like I think since basketball, is my opinion, of course, since basketball has moved out of the school system,
yeah,
you've seen some of this because the school system, there's a bureaucracy to it, there's a structure to it, there's
yeah,
employees. Once it started trickling out of that, you're starting to see more of that, for lack of a better term, with the wild west
yeah,
element of it, where there's
yeah.
a lack of structure because it's hard to, put a structure on something that's outside of a structure. Schools are in a structure, so you can it's very easy to have to implement things that are going to allow for like you said, for everyone to kind of be working together.
Right.
And that's a challenge. I mean, again, yourselves, youth basketball Manitoba and stuff like that. That's not something that I would want to be trying to sort out. Is what I'm trying to say. It's a big
Yeah, it's hard.
challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a big challenge right now. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah,
on the
I think it's a
good,
shame that the high school situation has changed so much. Kids get so much out of playing for their school,
yeah,
and I think when a couple of teachers I talked to, they just made the point they think they have a big impact in students' lives. Whether it's not about the winning and losing, it's just being part of a team and playing for your school, which is a big deal. And the coaches I talked to felt they had a big influence on those kids, and they're starting to miss that.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I think I said I think that is the probably the biggest challenge, right? Is the mentorship that you get, because if your coach is in the school with you, you're not just going off to a club practice or whatever. Like the coach is there, your gym is there, your
Yeah.
education is there, right? It's your home, right? It really becomes your home, and your teachers and your coach almost become family, like a
That's
single
right.
family.
That's
Yeah,
right. It's more than basketball, right? It's
yeah,
about their education and
yeah.
their social lives and stuff like that too. So everything becomes involved, and a coach can have a huge part in helping out students there. So
Yeah, no,
especially at
absolutely.
the level, yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, those are challenges you're gonna. You guys will have to sort that out. I will keep interviewing people, and hopefully things get worked out on the side in the sidelines.
Yeah.
So for your podcast, I actually reached out to social media and I said, look, I'm interviewing Coach Kusano. If any of you have questions or things I should ask him, let me know. So these next two are questions, and they come from the social medias. I don't even know who asked them. Basketball Manitoba just forwarded them off to me. So this is the question. So after coaching boys for the first portion of your career, what made you decide to switch to girls, and what are some positives and differences associated with coaching girls? So compare and contrast. Why did you do it, and compare and contrast?
Okay, the reason why I did it was just sort of by chance, by fluke actually. I was I was coaching with Kirby out at the University of Manitoba, and then as that happened, I was asked by Don Thompson to help coach the Canada Games team for the girls program. And Don and I talked about coaching together for about 25 years, and it finally was going to happen. He asked Colleen Dufresne and myself to be his assistant coaches for the Sherbrooke Canada Games. So we started out, and that was going to be a 2-year commitment. And as we went along, we also picked up a young mentor coach, and that was Michelle Hines, who had just finished playing at the University of Manitoba. And then as we finished up the Canada Games in 2013 in Sherbrooke, there's a change at the University of Manitoba, and Michelle decided to apply for the opening that was coming up at the U of M, and but she asked me to help join her. So I agreed to it, and we were lucky enough to get the opportunity there at the University of Manitoba, and that's how I made the change from coaching males to females after the Canada Games experience. So that's how I got started. So after that 2 years that I was with Michelle at the University of Manitoba, that was kind of over, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. So and then Basketball Manitoba came along and asked me if I would consider coaching and helping develop the girls program with Basketball Manitoba. So that's how the change started.
Interesting. So it's just that conversation with Don saying, "Hey, come coach with me. Let's do this." And now you're coaching girls, and then all of a sudden it just led you down this path.
Yeah, then that opportunity with Michelle and at the university, and having Colleen Dufresne as the athletic director out there didn't hurt. So it was a great experience. I loved it. The 2 years, our record wasn't great, but I'll tell you what, the 2 years I spent with those girls out there was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. So much so it had a big influence on that decision that I had to make when Basketball Manitoba offered me that position, and it was pretty easy to say yes. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I interviewed Don, I interviewed Michelle, and I've interviewed Colleen. Colleen and Don both mentioned, well, all three of them mentioned that year that when you were all together was special for all of them. Like there's like, this is amazing. Obviously Michelle, for her, like looking at who was helping her, like who she could learn from. But everyone says it was just an unbelievable experience, and like you guys had a great time, and just everything basketball wise, outside of basketball, is just amazing.
Yeah, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in basketball. In general, it was great.
Yeah. And is that's when you guys finished with the bronze? That was that Canada Games there?
Yeah. We weren't expected to. It was quite a surprise to a lot of people. And but great group of kids. The girls are great.
Nice.
Really, really overachieved, but it was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, overachieving teams are always awesome though. Always awesome. That's I mean, I honestly, like I mean, you've probably had this experience because you've probably had teams that have overachieved, and you've had teams that have underachieved that were super talented. And if you had to choose one, you're always gonna. Hey, I would love to have a team that's underachieved or that's overachieving, right? Like
absolutely.
Yeah, that's always a tough one. So okay, so a quick compare and contrast. I've heard. I'll give my two cents, Coach, just so that no one goes at you. But I've heard that coaching girls, they are much more inclined to listen to you literally, where guys are like, hey, if you're like, stand on the foul line there, the guys will stand like 3 feet away, and you're like, no, I said on the foul line, and they'll, you know what I mean? So they're much more like, I don't know. So what is your experience? You were with boys forever. Now you switched over to girls. Give me a quick compare and contrast as far as like what it's like to coach them.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I find you have to be a little more careful the way you say things to girls, because like you said, they'll take it literally, and yeah, so you have to be careful with the way you say it, the tone. Whereas guys, maybe you can be a little harder. And I don't know if that's fair, but that's just the way I've been. And I've changed also the way I coach guys too. I don't think I would be as harsh as I used to be. That's just the way things are now. And I think kids have actually changed where you can't talk the way you used to talk. You ask my old players, and they laugh at me now the way I coach. They said, they call me soft and stuff. I said, no, I say not soft. It's different. It's a different time now. And it's hard to explain that. But if you've coached guys and then you coach girls, you'll absolutely see the difference. I firm but fair. That holds true for both. But it is definitely different. I can probably be a bit more harsh with guys based on my experience. Whereas girls, you can be pretty hard on them, but at the same time, you better be very fair with what you're saying.
So would you agree with that comment though that I've heard from people who've coached both, that when it comes to like say you're implementing some form of offense, the girls will be much more inclined to take it literally and pick it up, where the guys you like, no, I said to do this, or this is the intention here. Is that a thing, or is that maybe just the personal opinion of the one person I talked to?
No, I think girls listen better.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I think
there you go.
No, I do believe that. They intently and almost to a fault, and in some ways, they will do exactly what you say, and but it's phenomenal coaching the girls. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we have one more question from the listeners. This one, I'm curious to see what you say here. So the question is, who are some of your favorite point guards to coach or coach against? And then they threw out some names: Baptiste, Lennon, Chief, Tyson Jones. Who are some of your favorites? So point guards that you either coached or coached against that you really enjoyed watching, coaching, whatever.
Well, the point guards that I've enjoyed coaching myself were obviously, Greg Philman, Rhett Turner, Lennon Mangron. Those three come to mind immediately. And then guys I coached against. Joey Vicky was pretty special. I don't know if you call him a point guard. He was kind of everything. Joey's probably the best guard I had to coach against, just because of all the things he could do, the way he could shoot, how smart he was. He was an amazing talent. Daryl was great. Coached him and also coached against him. Coached him on the 1993 Canada Games team out in Kamloops, where he played against Steve Nash. He was a tremendous player for us. Daryl was, and I also coached against him when he played for Daniel Mack in high school. So he was really special. Kevin Chief was another special player that we coached against. Unbelievable shooter, another really, really smart player. Tyson Jones came and played for us only for a year or so, but special player. Yeah, a very special player. I'm also, again, it's a tough question.
I know you're missing out people.
I'm missing people. It kind of hurts me, but
that's okay. How about you coached obviously against Irfan?
Oh yeah,
how can't forget him. He might be he's up there as one of the, I would, in my opinion, again, Irfan, humble opinion.
Irfan and Suk Singh were two of my favorite players. I mean, I got a real soft spot for Suk. I think he was phenomenal, special player. Yeah, and Irfan too. I was, what? It's funny. Throughout my whole career there, when Suk, I don't think we ever coached against Suk's team. We never. We were supposed to meet in the provincial final in his grade 12 year. I think we were ranked number 1 and 2 going into that year, and both of us got knocked out in the quarterfinals. We still all talk about that. It was terrible. It was terrible. yeah, that was hurtful, but he was a special player. And then
Mhm.
again with Irfan, we thought we'd meet them in the provincial final, and we got knocked out in the semifinals. Dakota knocked us off, and
Yeah.
Dakota knocked off Daniel Mack in the final too. So
What
they
what
had
a, what a run.
yeah, it was an amazing run. So
I remember
good for
watching that.
Dean, and yeah, they had a special year that year. So
They
yeah,
really did. They really did.
yeah, but
You know, it's
those guards were very special.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a bunch. You mentioned, I have to bring this up is because this is a story where I was involved, you were involved, and Joey Vickery was involved. So this is my first year playing at U of M, and I believe at the time you're helping manage the summer league there, and I'm a rookie, and dude, like this guy's gonna play with you, right? And guy walks in, he's comes to our bench or whatever. I think you gave him a jersey or something like that. No idea who this guy is. And again, like this is like everyone who meets Joey for the first time. He's what, five, I don't know, how tall is he? 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 5'9", maybe.
Not
Give or
that
take.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. He's not that big. And again, he's just this little guy. He's not ripped or anything. You're like, okay, cool. Who is this guy? I have no idea. He literally, again, I think I might be adding points every time, but let's say it was something like 35 and a half. He's shooting from like a step over half court, stuff like that, and we're killing whoever we're playing. And then he's like, "All right, guys, it was good playing." At halftime, he leaves. He's like, "I gotta get out of here," and he just took off. And then I was like, "Who is that?" I didn't know who is this guy, right? And people are like, "That's Joey," and I was like, "Who is this?" Like he's literally like he's shooting shots like I'm not this like a step inside 3 point like the half court line
Yeah,
at the Bison gym.
Special player.
He's unbelievable. Like I've interviewed a few people now, and the Joey stories are always hilarious. I played him. I met him at the Y, and he was just some guy. He came out and just started torching us, and I didn't know who he was. Like the stories go on and on. But I had to bring that up because I remember you were there and you put him on the team, and I was just like, okay, this is unbelievable.
I think I was dying laughing watching him do what he did, because we all knew them and knew who he was, and yeah, and all the rookies like yourself, and just in awe.
He's unbelievable, and I think that's kind of what been his MO when he was playing. I mean, he's all done now, but he would just show up and he'd be like, okay, Joey's here, he's going to play like a little bit. He'd come out to this, he'd just show up. Like later on, as I got to know Dan and stuff like that, like he would just show up at a gym in the summertime, and it was just unbelievable. I can't even imagine him playing. And these were in pretty serious settings with regards to the talent level, but very lax with regards to like the atmosphere, you pick up games or whatever. I couldn't even imagine him playing for BU or all that, like some of the stories people tell. But anyways, I digress. That's a whole tangent, a side piece on Joey, but you brought him up. So that came to mind.
Special player.
Oh yeah. Big time. Okay. We're getting close to the end here. I have a few couple of questions here. Now, again, I already asked you a few, hey, tell me your most memorable stories, or memorable moments about Oak Park. I'm gonna ask you another one, and maybe one comes to mind. Again, if not one comes to mind, shoot me a few. But now we're talking about your whole career. You did mention also, hey, you said the funnest time you've had coaching was with that provincial team, right? So you've mentioned a few in our interview, hey, that were memorable. So maybe some that you haven't mentioned yet, just in your entire coaching career, from playing all the way up until now. Some your most memorable or some memorable moments that stand out to you.
I just want to. My time at Oak Park was probably the most enjoyable time of my entire coaching career, and I want to mention Darren Klapik because he was my coaching partner then, and Darren never gets the recognition that he deserves, because honestly, when he came over to our program, we just took off. And the two of us got along so great, and we had so much fun together, and we had a lot of unbelievable memories. And I'll mention one where we were at a tournament in Edmonton, and it was a big tournament. And I think I'd made the mistake of telling kids about some of the stories from our old days in university and stuff like that. So, anyways, Darren and I went out to a coach's do one night. We came back to the hotel, and went to go into our room, and I flicked on the light switch and nothing came on. And we eventually went into the room and used the hall light to see what was inside. And there was absolutely nothing in our hotel room, like nothing. The beds were gone. The dressers are gone. The lamps, our luggage. There was nothing in the room. There's a rug, windows, and This was the Chris Lucas, Lennon Mangron team, and
Come
yeah,
on. They
it was
removed all of that from your hotel room. Everything.
every single thing was unbelievable. Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't take it very well at the
I
time.
was gonna say it wasn't funny at the time.
No, but I laugh at it now. It was pretty. I'm sure they talk about it all the time. I flipped out. I lost my mind, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay, but hold on. Now the logistics of actually pulling that off, pulling the bed, that is, come on, that's impressive.
Well, we had done stuff to the girls before when they troubled us. We would just inadvertently take their keys that were lying around.
Yeah.
And when they were out, we would set up their rooms, put shaving cream in their boots and stuff like that, and do silly stuff like that. So they took it a step further against their coaches there, and they got us back pretty good. A lot of fun. Yeah.
No kidding.
Definitely one of the funniest moments in my coaching career.
Well, you say that's some pretty good teamwork, though.
Oh, they're amazing.
That's some pretty good teamwork right there.
Oh yeah, they still talk about it to this day. So
wow,
yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, well, hold on. We can't let the story die there. So you walk in, all your stuff's gone. Do you remember what happened? Did you go into the room like, what the F is going on? Like, you not banging on doors? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where was all their stuff? Where were the bed? Where was everything?
They were huddled up in one room, and apparently they had talked and said, look, no matter what he does, he can't get after all of us. But once I knocked on the door and opened the door, they saw how mad I was, and they stampeded. They ran by me and almost knocked me over, and then scrambled and ran to their rooms. It was pretty funny.
Wow.
It was pretty fun. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. That is some next level stuff right there. That's next level. Well, it's funny because my next question was going to be your funniest basketball story, but I think you just told it.
That was one of them for sure.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you have another one, go for it. But I mean, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. All right. Okay. So do you have another one? Or are you good?
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. You're not going to tell me a story like Ogo when he said his funniest basketball story was in a layup line. Someone threw a ball and then it hit Bill right in the face. that was his funniest story. And the way Ogo tells it, it was a pretty funny story. But I didn't ask Bill about it because I didn't think he would remember. But
I was probably there.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You probably were, right? So, okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. I always end with a question of advice. I would be remiss if I didn't. I mean, considering some of the people I get to interview here and some of the people who are listening are likely coaches. I mean, we have probably a huge base of people who are coaches that are listening, high school coaches, like people like yourselves when you were much younger at Oak Park. So essentially, this is how it goes. You're sitting in a room, and you've probably done this before, to be honest with you. You're sitting in a room. Imagine you're here at Sport Manitoba. You're sitting in a room, all these coaches in front of you. Someone's like, "Hey, Coach Kusano, listen, I've been coaching 5 years at this high school. What pieces of advice would you give me?" And now you have the whole room to tell them, and you want them to walk away from there with a message. What would you leave them with?
Probably, after thinking about stuff like that, I think the biggest message I would give to coaches, male, female, would just be yourself. Don't try and be somebody else. I made the mistake of trying to be, a different type of coach when I first started coaching. I try to be pardon the language, but just trying to be a sort of a Bobby Knight kind of style. Kind of demean players and stuff like that, and wasn't very pleasant. And it was a big mistake on my part. I thought that was the way to coach, and I realized fairly quickly, fortunately, that it was the worst thing to do. Just that wasn't me. Just be yourself. Take the time to really try and establish meaningful relationships with your players. Show players that you care about them as people, as a person. And you will do wonders with those players, male or female, doesn't matter. Show you care, and doesn't matter about X's and O's or anything like that. If you show you care, you will become a very effective coach, and I really believe that. That's more important than any kind of coaching strategies or X's and O's that you could ever present. If you show kids you care and establish that relationship, you'll do really, really well.
That's great advice. That is pretty much what I would expect you to say, Coach. It's like I said, you're one of the classes. You started off by saying that some of your mentors were just good people. They were good people, and I kind of echoed that that's what people say about you. That's what I would say about you. And so for you to kind of pass that advice on is it makes perfect sense. And so, people who are listening right now, I think they can, there's just so much stuff like from, you could go on and say a whole list of things and you could say this, but it's so interesting kind of seeing how the things that people share as advice is the things that they are living, right? They live the advice that they give.
Yeah.
And I think you're the epitome of that. So, yeah.
I just, my own experience, like people that were so good to me, like you remember Bob Hazel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, people like that, they were so good to me. You never forget stuff like that. And it wasn't the basketball stuff, it's the way they treated you as people, as a person. And you never forget that. It stays with you for your whole life.
Yeah. And, no, you're absolutely right.
That's powerful. Yeah.
I still remember, because Bob Hazel coached at Glenlawn for a year.
Right.
He would always offer you these mints. He'd come up close to you and say, he'd like offer you a mint, or you'd come real close and talk. And he was only there the 1 year, but he was, again, super impactful. I still remember moments with him, and I don't have a good memory. So you're absolutely right.
Great.
Those moments stand out for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We will wrap it up there. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. I just want to say thank you, and it was good. And I hope that you have a lot of years left of coaching now that you've switched over to girls. I mean, you coached boys for what, 38 years or something like that. So now you have to make up for it. You got to make up for it. But no, I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, thanks very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Okay. Take care.
Thanks, Darcy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share this series, and reach out to us with your comments on the show. Thanks again for joining us.